Good afternoon. I would first like to send my condolences to the Zimmer family. Heard about the news with his son Adam, and knew of Adam in this profession. Had an opportunity to interact with him on several occasions, and good football coach, and even a better person. So my prayers go out to Mike and his family. I thought practice today was good. I thought we took a step in the right direction. And again, we had the pads on, the physicality and the things that we talk about and look for starting up front, I thought was there. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Because Chris was struggling, but I know that PJ is going to be your starter this week. Is he going to be your starter for the season, or just you're going to continue taking week by week?
My philosophy, you guys have heard this, is about winning the day. And that's just really staying with the day-to-day operation in each week. So I can't really go beyond this week and tell you exactly what's going to happen next week. So just staying in the moment with Cincinnati, and PJ's the starter this week.
Speaking of being in the moment, this is emotional league. Players like to celebrate. The league is even kind of open, being able to celebrate. What have you done this week to get your players to be able to do that, but still stay focused, stay, in that range, but without dimming their energy?
We're always talking about, let your personality show, within the confinements of the team. So I want those guys to be who they are, all right, but also understand it's all about the team first. So in regards to, and we're not going back in the past, but I think we've learned from last week, and we've moved on from that.
On Monday, Chuba said that he was feeling a lot better. How did he look today?
He looked good, So, again, it's day-to-day with him and see exactly how things go by the end of the week.
Steve, does the Bengals offense with and without Jamar Chase make any difference in terms of how you approach defending them?
No, the quarterback is still the key. He's phenomenal. You got Higgins, you got Boyd, Mixon. I've coached against those guys when I was at Cleveland. You don't talk much about their run game, but he is a dynamic runner. So we got to make sure that we're on point in all facets of this football game. So I don't think without Chase being there, those guys still not going to miss a beat.
Along those lines, Coach, what are you preparing for with Cincinnati on the offensive side as well as on the defensive side?
Well, I think just from a broad perspective, everything we do starts up front. We got to do a great job, in controlling the line of scrimmage. We got to create our run game by, having those guys come off the ball, get to the second level, and then vice versa defensively. We got to be able to stop their run. I know they're what many would say they're a pass-first team, but that run game can get going. That's one thing we don't want to happen.
When would you say the most likely scenario would be to activate Dorn?
It's hard to say, Joe. That's really some, hypothetical, because I got to wait and see throughout the process with the training staff. I think, Sam has been doing well in practice, and the things that he's progressed with was, really throwing the football. He's really hasn't taken any live action since last year. Preseason was sparingly there, but so it's still a process. I can't really say.
You brought up Burrow earlier. The Bengals have given up the second most sacks in the league, yet he's still a top 5 performer in yards, completion percentage, all that other stuff. How rare is it to have a quarterback who's able to kind of keep that composure and that production when the offensive line is kind of leaky?
Well, number one, I think, he's that kind of athlete, that kind of competitor. You've seen that when he was in college at LSU. And he has dynamic guys around him, as I just mentioned earlier, just a supporting cast. But to be able to have those numbers for his sacks and still have that production, it tells me that he doesn't get rattled. He's one guy that's going to hit the reset button. Burrowson's just going to keep moving.
Steve, Jeremy Chin had said last week that he was kind of eyeing the Falcons game, meaning next week as a return. Is that kind of how you're viewing things?
Well, Chin would have told you it was 2 weeks ago if he could have came back. So, but I'm still waiting to see exactly, he works out. He's still got a little bit of soreness, and I really don't want to try to push it too soon. So I'm going to rely on the training staff as well as his opinion and how he feels. So we'll make a decision here as we get closer.
Probably not this week then.
definitely not this week. We'll hopefully be able to shoot for Atlanta.
Steve, is there anything you do different this week, knowing you have a short week next week?
I think somewhat of an advantage is that, we just played those guys. So we'll focus on that when the time gets there. Right now, I'll focus on Cincinnati and really trying to create a good game plan and go out and execute tomorrow and try to stack another good day.
You said you guys took a step forward in practice. What do you mean specifically?
When I say a step forward, I mean the consistency in which we operate under. Nobody jumping off sides, no penalties. One of the things that we didn't do a great job of in the game. Good completions, putting the ball where it needs to be. No deep balls over the top, So when I say we took a step, we didn't beat ourselves today.
Generally speaking, to Ellis's question, around the league, players kind of really don't like the Thursday night because it's different for their body. Do you consult with the players about like what's good for them on a short week? Is there anything that you foresee yourself doing a little bit different in regards to that?
I've always had, certain philosophies in what we do, and I'm not really trying to be disrespectful and not answer your question. I would definitely tell you on Monday our process and how we're going to go about it. My focus right now is on Sunday.
For Terrace, he had his best game of his career on Sunday. What allowed him to take that next step?
He's just building confidence, and I think PJ and they're creating some kind of rapport with one another. So I think the chemistry is building. Confidence is something now, so I can see it in his play. I can see it how he practiced. So I'm excited about his progress.
As Derrick Brown continues to develop as well, can you evaluate him?
I talked to Derrick this morning as we broke the team meeting and was telling him I was proud of how he's been playing, really stepping up, being that leader up front. And I think he's been, stacking some good games back to back. So I'm excited about his progress. And, that's the reason why this organization drafted him with that ability that he has.
And he seems like he's, made a big jump this year. Can you talk about what it takes to make that jump, from where he was before to where he is now?
Well, just really consistency and dedicating yourself to your craft, trying to come in here in the off season, taking care of your body, doing the little things right. So therefore, once you get on the field, you can see the fruits of your labor, as I always talk about. So I think he's really just putting the time and effort in to try to perfect his craft.
Steve, when you have these guys like Terrace, like PJ, like Bradley, that have been kind of waiting for their opportunity and then they take it and run with it, is that gratifying for you as a head coach to kind of see them seize upon those opportunities?
It is, but it's also glorifying to see those guys progress and work before that opportunity comes, because when your opportunity gets here, if you're going to sit here and wait, which they did not do, it's going to be hard to try to seize that opportunity. So I'm more proud about their day-to-day operation and really trying to perfect the craft there, so when the opportunity comes, they can excel, and that's what they did.
What was your reaction to really what became no moves at the deadline? You obviously didn't pick anyone up, but you also held on to some of that young core.
We feel like, again, we have great talent in that locker room. It's great that we're able to keep it. You're right, we do have a core, and we're looking to try to build on that moving forward.
As a coach, to Joe's point, is there any relief in the finality of a trade deadline passing, knowing you still have the rest of the year ahead of you now?
I really don't try to focus on that. I know, you guys create stories which sometimes could be distracting, so I try to get the guys to be, locked in and focused on really what, the confinements inside the walls, inside the building. So myself, no.
Steve, what have you learned about Deontay Foreman since you both got here, before you were both in kind of the roles you are in now, and how does his kind of makeup fit the identity of what you want from that position?
I think it's spot on. Big physical back that can tote the rock and wear defense down as the game progresses. It's hard to tackle him one-on-one. He can run in between the tackles. He can get the ball to the outside. So I'm very pleased. I think he's a dynamic runner.
Not to take anything away from what Christian was and what he still is. Showed on Sunday how great he is. But is Foreman and what you want to establish with the running game better fit a little bit the power the running game, or is that?
David, you know I'm not going to get into comparisons now. I think, you know, Christian could run in between the tackles as well as outside. He's a dynamic player, so I think it's different. We have a set of backs here that I think are great because they have their own strengths, and we try to utilize those guys in that way.
Steve, some backs can come in and spot in for a play or two at a time. Some guys need more reps. Why is that?
I can't really say particularly. It's all about the individual and their body and their makeup. Some guys take a while to get going, and then some guys can come in based off who they are and just really hit it and go. So I can't give you a true answer on that.
Do you view Foreman as an old school back?
I think he's a mixture of both. He has the old school mentality, you know, physical, rugged, downhill in between the tackles. But once again, he has the speed and ability to get outside.
CJ had that moment where the 42-yard touchdown happened, but then he came back and had that pick. As a coach and a former DB coach, how important is it that he was able to kind of move past that and then make a play like he did?
It's very important because that's what we talk about all the time, you know, hitting the reset button, whether good or bad. We got to be able to win the next rep. So it was great to see him, even the one, I think I pointed out on Monday to where he had some PIs early in the year, and he turned around and made a great play on the ball. So you see that progression with him and that growth. So I'm excited about it.
When a kicker like Eddie has the game like he does, is there anything you say to him? Is there anything you do differently? Is there anything, or you just act like everything's good, everything's normal, and just kind of plug along?
You know, I don't have really strong relationships in regards to the kicking game. I talk to Eddie from a different perspective, nothing about, you know, his mechanics. I leave that up to Coach Tabor. So I wouldn't want to give him any kind of advice because we all know kickers are different. So they're in their own world. So I don't want to try to screw them up in regards to that. I just try to build them up.
So to that point, though, the human aspect, the human element, how do you handle that, you know, as a human being?
I'm more encouraging, you know, but I also understand that we get paid to do a job as well. But, you know, I thought he had some good kicks today. You know, we pretty much had our day-to-day operation where we worked on PATs and field goals, and he did a good job. So I was pleased to see how he bounced back today.
I'm sure that you saw it after the long PJ touchdown. The first guy to come up to him was Baker, and then after the game, a group of your guys were hanging out with Eddie and supporting him. I mean, what does that say about the closeness of your team in terms of it's supporting each other, and what does that tell you?
It's just really the culture that we've created, and we talk about brotherhood, we talk about family, we talk about, you know, act of a champion, that accountability, commitment, and trust, and we building that with one another. And as we all know, and as I stated, no one person lost this football game. So it was encouraging to see that they're rallying around Eddie. It's encouraging to see that Baker, even though I know he wants to be on the field, that he's not taking the back seat. He's encouraging PJ to go out there and do an excellent job. So he's an ultimate pro.
Do you think it's a sign? Do you think it's a sign you guys are sort of turning the corner a little bit?
I hope so.
Do you and/or Tabor do anything to kind of interject some element of pressure during practice kicks?
I think we did it today, and how I created, you know, a 2-minute situation to where we needed a field goal. I thought the offense did a great job operating the 2-minute, you know, getting the ball down the field, getting out of bounds, not using our timeouts, and then Eddie came on and made the field goal. So just trying to create those game-like scenarios.
But do you see yourself tinkering with your wide receiver rotation? I know Chenault had his most snaps this season, did pretty well. Looked like Shi Smith is sliding a little bit. What do you see doing there?
Nothing different. I like the rotation that we have. I like the things that we're doing. Everything is always predicated off the floor of the game and the play calling, exactly who we want in there, certain things, whether it's perimeter screens, whether it's vertical down the field, you know, certain guys are going to be in on certain plays.
A couple more.
Dante didn't practice. How is he looking as far as this week, potentially?
He's looking good. It just felt like I wanted to give him a vet day today, that's all. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Steve.